So we're finally going to reconnect with Robin. Hey everyone, welcome to Princess Gay. I'm your host Connie, and today we are here with my blind reaction to Heavenly Delusion, episodes 12 and 13, the finale for now at least. There's definitely got to be more. I really doubt this is going to be the end of the series. I believe I already checked. The manga does have more ongoing. It's just we gotta wait till there's enough for another full season and everything. So hopefully there will be more because I believe this was a pretty well received anime too. So last we left off, we found out we're like gonna be meeting up with Robin soon because we saw him. He's at the at the facility they're heading towards. And in terms of the past at Heaven, we see that it's about to hit like the end. Like the doctors seem to be like coordinating a plan against the director. They're even telling the kids that they're Hiriko and whatnot, which is a name they seem familiar with somehow. And that's the name, of course, that Maru gives to the man-eaters. So that's really interesting too. Um, but we also have like apparently Tokyo had twins. It wasn't just one baby. So that's interesting. So that means the one that Maru could be searching for that looks like him might not actually be Tokyo, who is clearly at this point his mother. It might be his sibling. And so I'm going to be interested to see how that all goes down. Obviously, Heaven's going to fall, but the question is how. I feel like it has to do with these new kids. The way they were introduced at first just seemed like there's going to be such a harbinger. And if all of them have powers like that one girl did, the one who has like the mind control that makes you appear to be dying from something you're scared of and all, which we saw what became of that girl. We saw the man eater that used to be her. That was really neat that we actually got to see that ahead of time. And I'm just really curious to see how this all goes, because I feel like this finale is like going to leave us off on some notable cliffhangers. I feel like we're not going to find everything out here, but things are going to get probably pretty intense. For example, I don't think we're going to find the doctor this season at all. I think it's just we're finding Robin first, and the doctor will be like in the future. But I guess there's only one way to find out. Now, I will mention in the afterthoughts as well what is going to replace this on Thursdays, so stay tuned for that too. But for now, let's get into the reaction and see what we have in store. Hold up just a sec. Before you click that link down in the description below to get to today's video, I want to remind you of all the awesome content we have both on this channel and the Princess of Gaming channel. Let's check it out. And we are back, and we'll begin with spoilers in 3, 2, 1, now. So, I don't know if it's if it's how he always was. I don't know if it's like something that happened since he originally left the orphanage and came into contact with Shiro and everything. I don't know if it's something that happened even after that point. I don't know. But whatever the case, it doesn't really matter if it was how he always was or if that's just something that like he just went crazy or something. Like right now, like in the current day storyline with Kiriko and Maru, Robin is unequivocally the main villain. And that reveal, the reveal of him being the main villain of the current day storyline in this is very, very upsetting. And I don't know if there were like hints. I don't know if there were like clues or hints that would have like implied this was gonna happen. But like, if there were, I clearly didn't like get them. I clearly like missed that. I I went into this and everything like believing Robin was going to be, you know, a safe person for Kiriko to, you know, interact with here. I mean, we had no real reason to believe otherwise, and this was one of Kiriko's main goals, to find Robin. Again, pretty much the only family he has left. So to have like to have that person who he trusted so greatly, who he had been searching for years, to do this to him is so beyond fucked. And I'm like, I'm like, uh, I kind of said it in the reaction, but it's like I can't even really cry about it because it's just I'm just so in like shock about it. It's one of those things where it's just it's I wouldn't be surprised if I started crying after like this after I ended this recording, but I'm just like I'm still kind of registering this. And the fact that he had him trapped there for multiple days, multiple nights, he was like raping him over and over all this time, and to find out at the end like there was some experiment with this other woman he was doing, this other new resident who had only been there a couple months. He was doing some experiment involving what appears to be a man-eater. It's like I don't know if that has any connection to uh the doctor. He mentioned the name. I don't remember the name. It was like Saruki or something like that. I don't know if it has any connection to the doctor or if it has any connection to. Um, I doubt it would have any connection to Shiro, but maybe it's like something he like thought of when he was with Shiro, and because of Mimihime, and just something like he took into the like entirely wrong direction. I'm just like flabbergasted by all of this. I said in the reaction, I'm sorry if I'm not like looking at the camera much here. I'm like I'm looking down, and it's not readily or apparent. Like you guys can't see it on camera, but I'm like twiddling this like piece of a rubber band in my fingers. Um, which a lot of times I tend to do anyway, but like I'm like really anxiously doing it now. I mentioned in the reaction, I've mentioned it before on the channel. I've been sexually assaulted multiple times, and it's something that, like, again, even if I hadn't been, it still really bothers me. It's like rape is like one of the worst crimes possible to commit. It's so horrific and evil. Like there's no excuse for it. There's absolutely zero way you can justify it. Like you can justify murder in like ways of self-defense and stuff like that. But like you can't justify rape. And anyone who would even try to justify rape like deserves to fucking die and go to hell and It's just, it's so fucked. And again, it's not even just that he was raping, he was taunting him. He was taunting him the entire time, telling him to like look in the mirror and see his sister's body and everything. Like, God, fuck. I'm I'm glad that Maru did eventually go to check on him and eventually realize shit was wrong with what the guards were saying. And I'm glad that he beat the ever loving shit out of that cunt. I just I I really, really do wish Kiriko hadn't stopped him from killing him though. Because God, he deserved it. But I don't blame Kiriko, and I want to make that very clear. I don't blame Kiriko for begging Maru not to kill him. I very much get it. It's very clear with their conversation by the river, like, Kiriko holds no love or care for him anymore. But you have to understand, this was like his only family for so long. This was someone he had worked so hard to get back to, and as much as he's not going to like victim blame himself, he's not going to like try to like say it was his fault or anything, but he just he doesn't want Maru to become that. I think that's the biggest thing. He doesn't want Maru to have to become someone like that, who'd be like overtaken by his anger. I think he was more trying to protect Maru than Robin. But there is absolutely still that side of him that like that is probably very confused and very like emotionally fucked up right now. Because again, Robin meant so much to him. It's like, how do you just ignore that past, that history? It's just it's something that's like it's fucked up and it's horrific and it's just very hard to like come to terms with, but there's one thing I will say about that entire thing is that was clearly the point. It is supposed to disturb you and fuck you up this much. It's very clear how that was intended to be received by the original readers of the manga and then the viewers of this anime. You're not supposed to be comfortable. You are supposed to be shaken by that because again, and I think that's why there didn't seem to be any like setup for this. Why there didn't seem to be any hints at this. It was supposed to catch you so off guard that it was supposed to freak you the fuck out. And in a lot of ways this series touches on like human nature and shows like the best that people can be but also the worst. We see that even with the Heavens storyline and everything, like seeing how Tokyo is just such a good person but like the director by contrast is like so almost cartoonishly evil, like especially like in these past episodes. But we're seeing like especially like here it can also come in places you don't expect, and that's I feel like that's also important to tell people that sometimes the people that they thought would be there for them can betray them like this in so many horrific ways and for so many horrific reasons. And as someone who has had friends and family like turn on them in ways since coming out like as queer, as trans, and it's like obviously there's the allegory that can be made here with Kiriko kind of like having that similarity to like a trans woman, even though that's obviously not what's going on, but there is absolutely the allegory that can be made with that. It's like this definitely hit me in a way that felt personal. There's also the fact that in a lot of cases there's a lot of trans women who are sexually assaulted because trans women can oftentimes be fetishized in a way. Like the entire idea of like a, excuse my terminology here, but a dick girl and everything. It's an extremely like fucked up fetishization of trans women that people see as appealing. And many trans women have been assaulted and raped because of it. And again, I don't know if the intent here was to make that parallel, but the parallel can definitely be made. The allegory can definitely be seen, even if it wasn't the intention. Because again, the actual specific is different. Like Kiriko is not a trans woman. He's not. It's obviously a very different kind of thing. But he's literally, trapped in a body that's not his own and everything. He's a guy trapped in a woman's body, specifically his sister's. Obviously, a lot of crazy shit there, but the analogy is obvious. And I feel like this is using kind of this sci-fi situation to kind of like express that kind of idea. Again, whether intentional or not, it's definitely there. And I've definitely heard like other people, since I started watching this, I have seen other people mention this because I've kind of briefly looked it up without trying to find any kind of spoiler stuff. And I've like looked up like specifically comments regarding like episode 2 and everything, or episode 3 is when it's revealed. Well, no, it's revealed at the end of episode 2 and it goes into the details in episode 3. But I've seen like people talking like specifically regarding when those episodes came out and stuff, without having like the manga spoilers and all. So it's like I've seen what people have said regarding kind of that aspect, and there are a lot of other people who made this connection as well. So it's like having that like connection made, even if it wasn't fully intentional, and having the sexual assault connection in there as well. It's like it's been very, it made it more upsetting. And it was already extremely, unbelievably upsetting. Robin is clearly going to come back in the future. And I hope that Maru sees him again so he can kill him, because I don't think Maru will hold back again. And I hope he doesn't. I want there to be more of this now more than ever, because I want to see that fucking cunt die. But I think we should talk about like the other stuff in this episode, the Heaven storyline. Just to move on from this and to like focus on, for lack of a better way to put it, greener pastures. So we see the downfall of Heaven in these episodes after like everything that had been started last time. Apparently, I guess the doctor and the assistant director weren't, or are they not actually planning something? Because she mentioned like Operation Noah or whatever, and it's like, but he didn't even seem to know what that was, and he didn't seem to know what was happening here with everything going crazy and like the entire "do you want to see the outside shit?" And then it's like there's the entire thing with the babies, with the twins. They were gonna let Tokyo have one of them but not the other? But then he's like trying to figure out which is which, and it's like if they're twins, like how does that entirely matter? I'm wondering if they're not twins because he said that he could check. He said there was a way to find out, and it's like, how would you do that? The only explanation I can think of is if they're not twins, but one of them is a clone of the other. But what does that mean? And is Maru would then Maru be the clone or the real one? And which one is he? Is he the one who was like raised by Tokyo or not? There's so many questions. I have no fucking clue what's going on here. I'm so lost. And I mean, if it is like an almost perfect genetic clone, I mean, does it really like make a huge difference if it's the one raised by Tokyo or not? Because I mean, he would still be like genetically speaking Tokyo's baby. He would still be Tokyo's son no matter what. It's just a matter of like how all that went down. And on top of that, it's like the director can walk. She never needed the wheelchair. That was a ruse the entire time. She was probably lying about a lot of shit. In fact, I'd say it's guaranteed she was lying about a lot of shit. She's like, we already found out like the other episode, like a couple episodes ago or whatever, that she's also like this like psycho cultist. And all of this is due to that, the spear of heaven or whatever the fuck. And now, like, their compound, the facility was being attacked. And this ended up allowing 4 of the kids to escape. We have Shiro, Mimihime, and the other 2, whose names I don't know offhand. And even though Shiro and Mimihime were originally going to go back to find Tokyo, we clearly see that they didn't. After everything, and after they, like, you know, after they said that they loved each other and shit, it's like they just ended up heading out with the other 2, and we're heading towards the city. Further proving that this was all, like, prior to the cataclysm or whatever it was called. This was prior to the apocalypse. Again, this was something that was, like, discernible earlier on, like, we could figure that out. But it wasn't, like, exactly clear on what, like, it wasn't confirmed. We figured it out, just like with the fact that Shiro and Mimihime are the 2 we already met, obviously. But it's like, these episodes obviously confirm that more for both of those things. That Shiro and Mimihime are the 2 we saw, Dr. Uzaki or whatever it was, Usami? Something like that. And the girl who's with him. And so they lived through, they not only came out during, before the cataclysm, but they lived through it. And continued to go on, and at some point she got sick with this thing, and he was trying to save her. And it ended up going to where we know it went. And we even see, like, the thing he was holding was the button. It was the button from her coat, from her jacket. It's like he's always had that on him, like, and he had that on him when he, like, committed suicide after her death. And so that ties that up together too. Plus, like you saw when he was washing his stuff away, he had slicked back his hair a bit, so he didn't. So you could see from like how he looked kind of without the bowl cut at one point on his head. And it's like that again. That and the button also made it clear who he was, if it wasn't already very fucking clear. But yeah, it's like Tokyo. Meanwhile, she's given her baby. Or who we assume is her baby, we actually don't know. But the director, well, again, either way, it's her baby. She's given one of the babies, And then the director runs in and is like trying to take it, and even orders the robot to take it, Mina. But Tokyo activates her powers, and I don't know exactly what happened. It left us off on a cliffhanger on that. We don't know what happened with her after that. It almost looks like she was like cocooning herself in her blood or something like that. It was crazy. It was wild. I don't know. Like, obviously that's stuff that would be revealed in like a season 2, but it's like that's a crazy place to leave off on Tokyo's story for this season. I am glad though that the others in this society did end up realizing how fucked up and terrible Robin is, because that means that he won't be welcomed back in this society, meaning he will have to leave it and this society will be able to thrive, because the society is not at fault. It's Robin. Like, he even those two guards, he told them that Kiriko was an old flame, and told that, like, so they wouldn't have questioned it. So it's entirely on Robin. He's the villain. The society, we don't blame the society for that. The society seemed to be thriving, and it looked like an amazing place. It was like the biggest like encampment they found. Had amazing like food stalls and everything. Had like an entire societal like structure. Like they even had their own monetary system. It's like just so fascinating to see that kind of thing. This this was like, as horrific as this was, and as like as fucked up as it kind of made me. Like, I'm not going to deny how well this was done, because again, it was supposed to fuck you up. It was the intention to fuck you up. Like, you were not only not supposed to enjoy that, you were supposed to like have the biggest of icks from that. That was very clearly the intent. It was supposed to be horrific and like just unbelievably disgusting. And it succeeded at that. It was well done. It was well written. It was well like presented. It's just so horrific that it's like, as well done as it was, it's like you can't like enjoy how well done it was, because it's so absolutely fucked. Um and I want to make clear here, it doesn't ruin the series for me. Like, I'm not like I'm not someone who's like going to say like a series should never have this kind of stuff. In fact, I believe the opposite. Let me straighten myself up here. I've kind of slumped a little bit. I believe kind of the opposite. There's some people out there who believe that like shows like this shouldn't show this kind of thing, or movies or games or whatever else. And their reasoning is very understandable, because it can be extremely triggering, extremely hard to watch, extremely like upsetting for people who have gone through this, and it can like, cause a lot of, trauma and PTSD to rear its head. And that's entirely fair. As well as some people also say it just feels gratuitous. It feels like it's just being done for shock value, rather than like, you know, anything else. But I actually view things differently here, and I'm again saying this as a victim of sexual assault, so I'm not saying this as like an outsider who doesn't have a say in this kind of topic. I think that there are certain shows, movies, games, etc. that should show this kind of stuff. But it has to be shown within this same kind of context. it has to be shown and presented to be as evil, as horrific, as fucked up, as disheartening, and just emotionally devastating as it was here. It has to be shown to be this evil, because it is in real life. And showing this kind of stuff brings awareness to it. As hard as it is for some people to see, and I don't have a problem with games or movies or shows having a trigger warning, or like telling people ahead of time, like, oh yeah, this is going to get like very upsetting. That's fine, and I think a lot more games and stuff should have trigger warnings. And again, not just games, but shows and movies, etc. Like, if I were putting this series out, I would have put like specifically a trigger warning before these episodes because of the content there within. Or if I were like running a streaming service and I had this series on it, I would put a trigger warning there. And that's how you handle that. Again, there's some people who think that this stuff just has no reason to be in there, but it brings awareness. It's not like glorifying it. It's not like fetishizing it or trying to make it like appealing or entertaining. It's specifically doing the opposite when it's done in this manner. It is actively the opposite of entertainment. It is so fucked up and so horrific that you I didn't want to continue on to the last episode here at first. I genuinely wanted to stop the recording and just like throw up. I didn't. I kept going. But I did have that genuine urge. And again, that's what you're supposed to feel. This if this tried to like fetishize it or tried to like paint Robin as sympathetic or anything, then I would have a problem. Then there would be something like to talk about with that. But it didn't. It showed Robin to be as evil and villainous as he is. And it absolutely showed like Maru as the hero coming in and beating the ever-loving fuck out of him. That's the point. And I mean, again, I can't blame people who don't want to see this content, who have gone through this and are so traumatized by it that they don't want to see it. That's fair. That's why I say put a trigger warning in there, so that people can avoid this content if it's too much for them. And I think that needs to be done. That goes for any kind of like extremely harrowing content like this. Again, more of these games, movies, shows, etc. should have trigger warnings before them. Like, and when advertised and everything, they should be very upfront if they're going to have like this kind of content in it. Because I've heard stories about people going to movies and being shocked that there ends up being like a rape scene or something in the movie, and it's like it triggered them, it caused them extreme discomfort and emotional pain, and they weren't prepared for that. They were going in for like an action movie or something, or a romance film, and they ended up getting that, and it just, they had no idea that was going to be in there. And I think that studios should be more upfront about like having that kind of content. And it's like just having a movie be rated R isn't enough, because there's plenty of R-rated movies that don't have content like that in it. The studio needs to be very upfront about this, to the point where it's like someone won't be able to miss it, that they'll know that this is in the movie, or again, the show, the game, etc. Content warnings need to be in more stuff. And any asshole out there who says, like, oh, grow a pair of balls, it's like, you don't need content warnings. You don't need that sissy, woke, DEI shit. It's like, fuck right on off, you piece of shit cunt. Anyone who says that can just go fucking die for all I care. You clearly don't understand how triggered people can be about stuff like this. Again, it's not even just like this. Gore. An animal being killed in a movie. I just watched a movie yesterday. Or, well, yeah, yesterday. Ginger Snaps. Part of our werewolf movie week. Had a bunch of dogs being killed in it. Had a lot of gore. It's like, that movie should have probably had a content warning on it. I mean, I know the movie came out like years and years and years ago, but still, that movie probably like logically should have a content warning for it. Not just for gore, but specifically for animal gore. Specifically that there are animals killed in this. Because I've known many people who get really triggered and really fucked up over animal deaths. And that's entirely fair. And again, anybody who tries to minimize that, anybody who tries to like call people like that sissies or weak or woke or any fucking shit like that can go fucking die. Because that's not okay. It is not okay to minimize and mistreat people for something that genuinely fucks them up. For something that genuinely, beyond their control, traumatizes them. As someone who has trauma, as someone who has certain things that just bother the shit out of me, like, I get really fucking pissed when people, like, look down on that kind of thing. It is not woke. It is not, like, sissy bullshit to be triggered by something. And anyone can be triggered too. Men, women, and beasts, doesn't matter. Anyone can go through a horrific experience and have like genuine PTSD from that causes a lot of harm to them mentally and emotionally. And like, making light of a piece of media triggering them on that is just so fucked up and evil. I'm starting to get like really like upset in a different way now. So I feel like we should just like call this here. I feel like I've said like pretty much what I wanted to say about this. This finale was very well made. It was just also extremely upsetting. I'm happy that it seems that Kiriko like recovered well enough to continue on for now. But I really do feel like this is going to affect him in the future. Like I feel like he's going to like probably have nightmares about this and everything. It like there's no way this isn't going to stay with him. And he and Maru have now pledged completely to not to protect each other. Not just for him to be Maru's bodyguard, but they are protecting each other. And I really did like, I don't think I mentioned this in the afterthoughts yet, but I really did like Maru's entire speech about how the person he fell in love with wasn't Kiriko, it wasn't Haruki, but it was the person that he's become since then, since everything happened. That it was who he is now, that is the person that Maru fell in love with. That speech, like, it's still a little weird with the age gap between them. I mean, it's not like a horrific age gap, but it's still weird. Because, like, again, Kiriko is like 18. Because, like mentally speaking, I like, obviously he's in his older sister's body, but He's like 18 years old, and that's only 3 years apart from Maru, who's 15, but still. You could see it as a little weird, but it's not that bad compared to like if he were like 25 or something. If he were 25, that would be a bit worse. But no, it's not as terrible. And either way, it's like it was still something very nice that was like probably something very good for Kiriko to hear in that moment, because it showed that someone cared for him for who he is. In a moment where he was like so actively like traumatized and upset at like the one person he was looking for, the one person he considered his family at that point, to have betrayed him and raped him like that. Like, he needed to hear that. He needed to hear that there was still someone out there that loved him. That was the right thing for Maru to say. And, like, you know that he considers Maru more of his family now after that. So yeah, at least there's some positive things that happened amongst all the horrific bullshit. God, I'm still like, I'm not okay after watching that. Uh, but before we end this off, I probably should talk about what's going to replace this. Um, because it's like I honestly probably almost forgot about that there. But yeah, starting next week on Thursdays, we're gonna be going back to Scavenger's Reign. I'm no like pomp and circumstance, no like putting it out. I'm just telling you, it's Scavenger's Reign. We haven't gotten back to that since we put it on hold back in like September, so it's been quite a while, and we really do need to get back to that. So we're gonna be returning to that next Thursday. I will remind myself, like probably just like looking at the Wikipedia of the previous episodes as to what happened. And funny enough, I have to remember we're on episode 6, despite the last episode I put up being episode 4 because I accidentally did episode 5 before episode 4. Still not 100% sure how that happened. But yeah, I have to remind myself that I am on episode 6. That's the next episode we're going to react to. That we get back to that next week. I think there's like what 10 episodes of that. So we ended it about halfway through anyway. So yeah, let me know in the comments below what you thought of this episode. Um, and I just want to tell you, if you've gone through anything like traumatizing, whether like this or like anything else, no matter what it is, the community for this channel and on our attached Discord server, which is linked below, is a safe space for you. No matter what trauma you'll have gone through, we are I pride myself on making like this community a safe space for everyone, and we have your back. So just be safe and know that there are people out there who care about you. Thank you so much for tuning in. I'm Connie and I'm signing off. See y'all next time.